Before we get into this messy recording, I just wanted to say I forgot to mention this picture in the video, and it's my pinned tweet on Twitter, but it's my team sheet for the official event. All I have to say about this is don't lose this round one like I did. That put in so much panic. I ended up finding it before round two began, but do not forget about this. Okay, future me, bye bye. Now, hi guys. So the whole point. So I you guys crushed the 5 likes thing. I think like the video got like 12. So that's awesome. Thank you all. This video is probably a lot quicker, or I'd figure out some random way to drag it out for a long time since I can just sit there and talk to myself for 3 hours on end, without fail usually. But I just want to say what I mentioned a few times in my past video. This is my Peoria team. I went 5-4 with. Of course, it's called Queer Icons because I'm not the straightest tool in the shed. But you know, uh, what not to do when you're prepping for a regional. So for some reason, I was stupid enough to think that there was a small chance it was gonna be like the Kitakami prologue as a rule. Like you can only bring Pokemon available in the Kitakami decks. Do not assume that. For people going to Portland and Liverpool, do not assume it's going to be like Blueberry Academy prologue. I don't know why I thought that. I was just like, maybe there's a chance. So it's like 2 weeks away. Like we finally get the official format out, and it's official that it's just Reg D Premium, basically. Nothing has changed other than the little silly Ogerpon, which almost made the team, by the way, but ended up not. So 2 weeks, a week goes by as those 2 weeks start, and I'm like, all I have is Farigiraf, Regidrago, and Tornadus. Like I know I want Tail Room, I know I want Regidrago. How do I fill those spots? Well, I've already talked about this weird Regidrago set, but it worked. It worked out pretty well. There was a time where in Peoria, I was against a 2-2-2, and which is like a 2-2-2 is like uh Chien Pao Dragonite, Fluttermane Chiyu, Indeedee Armarouge, Dondozo Tatsugiri, stuff like that. There was a time in Peoria where I fought a guy with a 2-2-2, and he led Chien Pao Dragonite, and I started with Regidrago and Tornadus, and then that same turn, I like it's turn one, I swap out Tornadus for Fergaref, baiting out the Sucker Punch, and because they're just trying to get quick damage on Regidrago because they thought they was gonna get a Tailwind, I'd be faster, Terra Steel, don't take any damage, that type of thing. And then they thought I was just gonna do that, like so I swapped out the Tailwind for Rigoraph, well, Tornadus for Farigiraf just for that ability, canceling both the extreme speed and the sucker punch. And I believe it was a life orb Chien Pao. So they both just died that turn. And that was one of my easiest sets of the day. And that put me at 5-3, I believe. By the way, my wins for that day were like 1-0, 1-1. Round two, I lost to Junchi, who got top 8. He is such a cool dude. Um, there was that. Then I went 1-2, then 2-2. Lunch break. Uh, that was pretty great. I had a plain pork sandwich, which was all right. And then I went 2-3, and I thought the dream had died. But then I got a hat trick and went 5-3, and then 5-4 to end off the day. I don't know why I ranted about that. My bad. But yeah, Regidrago, he's pretty great. And then Tornadus, I've already went into detail about him and Farigiraf. Fluttermane, here's the weird spec set I talked about. Look at this. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Power Gem for Ogerpon, it didn't even kill. Like 90% of the time, it did not kill. And what else were you using it for? Just Power Gem's not a great option. Unless there's going to be like a very popular mon that's like 4 times weak to rock, do not run Power Gem on Flutter. You would have had a better time running Thunderbolt because electric types were not common. So a bunch of things that were electric weak were, like Tornadus. Tornadus would not want to take a Thunderbolt from a Flutter main. It's just, it's better coverage. You hit like water types way better because look at this team's matchup into water types. We're not looking too hot. Um, so Thunderbolt on Flutter main's definitely much better here. I'd still run Booster Energy and Protect over one of these moves. Probably Power Gem, to be honest. Yeah, like it's not great. This is my biggest mistake. Look at like imprisoning a Protect was nice. I will say that. The only thing about this set that I feel 50-50 on, because I have since replaced that in future teams with like Dazzling Gleam, just to get extra chip. If they have a Sash, I can break it, and then Reggie Drago can finish stuff off without much of a difficulty. This is where we have problems. If I had brought leftovers on for Farigiraf for Peoria, we would have had a much better time. Like, if I had not brought leftovers and I brought like a citrus berry, I've learned that a citrus berry is so much better because at this point, remember, Amoonguss is not very popular. And plus, we have the best grass type right here, which I'll get to. But Farigiraf is built for a citrus berry. It needs the passive recovery from leftovers can be nice, but it doesn't tank hits like that. Okay, it has it has really decent bulk, but it does not have good enough bulk to make use out of leftovers like Amoonguss does. Like, Amoonguss could definitely make more use out of that, especially when you're neutral to a funny little move called Surging Strikes and Moonblast, which Amoonguss resists both. When you're being constantly critical hit, it's not good. And then you get like what 6% back. No, it's not. I don't think it's 6. It's 1/16th. I don't know the math on that. It could be 1/6. Oh, but yeah, 1/16th, rather than 1/4 of your HP. Big difference. You get 4 times as much from a citrus berry once you hit half health, which you will hit half health with Farigiraf almost every single game. Citrus berry is a very consistent item, and I'd always run it on my Farigiraf, and if I had it, I probably could have performed better at Peoria. This is what happens when you give yourself limited prep time. You think certain items are okay, and you don't get a lot of play testing done with them, and those scenarios where you need them, and then crap like this happens. You have leftovers on Farigiraf. There's people that probably are looking at this right now and are just like, why did he put that there? I don't know why. I was just on something, to be honest with you. Now, Heatran is really weird. I love this set. I absolutely adore him. He's little Scrungle Bob. But Tera Grass Heatran, like even I think James Beck, when he won Peoria, he had a Tera Fairy Heatran that won the whole thing. Tera Grass is okay. Like, there is a like if Amoonguss was still popular, this would have been perfect. But like I tried a Tera Blast, Junchi's Gastrodon, and that's when he Tera Poisoned, and that was like the only time Tera Blast was about to get a highlight reel. I will say Heatran did not miss a single Heat Wave the entire time. That's my goat. And I think I named him Frog. If I remember, it was Boomstick, Molino Lateo, Awesome, Frog, Grump, and Bounce. But yeah, like I just run Tera Fairy. I mean, you're weak to Poison and Steel. Those were not popular attacking types other than Heatran. It's kind of weird to think about how much Heatran's fallen off, especially now that we're more into Regulation E. we're into regulation F now, and you just don't see him anymore, like really at all. But he's neat. This stat spread wasn't bad. If I were to redo it, I'd probably put this almost close to 0 and then max the defense a bit more. And that probably would have been better, giving him more overall bulk. And honestly, I think AV Heatran is good. But if you're going to run AV Heatran, you're going to have to know how to pivot 90% of the time. Because I had 3 things here that didn't even have Protect. And one of them shouldn't have. These two should have swapped for who has Protect and who doesn't. But, where am I? But, yeah, Heatran's, like, he's great. And I think a Assault Vest is a solid item for him, but it's much more common on, it was much more common on stuff like Iron Hands. And you even, for some reason, see it on Incineroar sometimes. Would not recommend run safety goggles. But I think if I were to change anything about him, I would have kept this exact same stat spread, dropped Tera Blast for Protect, and give him a Life Orb. Okay, that would have maximized his damage, and he could have been he was already a huge threat, and he would have been a larger threat if he had that. Now, Landorus T. Landorus T is a super cool dude. Like, he is probably one of the most fun mons I have ever personally used. When he works. That's the problem with him. He does not really work often. Because, like, as you can see with a Choice Scarf, his speed goes up to 210. Because you do the 50% adding. So he outsped a lot of stuff. He did not outspeed Urshifu with a Choice Scarf. So you'd force the Tera in front of it almost every time. You could U-turn out. You could Rock Slide. He doesn't even press Stomping Tantrum. There was like one situation where I got a really satisfying Tera Flying Tera Blast on something, but he doesn't do that all the time. Most of the time with him, you're going to be clicking Rock Slide, and you really start to see why he fell through as a lead intimidator in the meta and why Hisuian Arcanine took over. Because Hisuian Arcanine made more use out of a Choice Band Tera Normal than Landorus T did. I don't even know how I'd run Landorus T now. Like, he doesn't even get acrobatics or anything. Like, what could you even run? Like, Fly? Why would you run Fly? I think even Tornadus can learn acrobatics. Yeah, he can learn acrobatics, and Landorus T cannot. You know, the Pokemon with 145 attack? It's kind of dumb. But, yeah, I think if I had more time to kind of cook with the meta a bit, I probably could have came across like Gyarados would have been better because I don't have a water type right now. Arcanine could have been good, but I already had Heatran. But I could have dropped Lando for Arcanine. I could have dropped Heatran for Iron Hands, and this team probably would have been a lot better. Like a lot better. I did have a really weird team that I got top 16 with in a tour that had like it had Farigiraf, Tornadus, Chestnut, Gliscor, and Hisuian Arcanine. And that was a really good team. I don't know why it was so good. It had a really bad matchup in the size spam, which is why I lost in top 16. But it was a really solid team. And I have Hisuian Arcanine to thank for that. But yeah, that's all I like. You don't need to worry about a regional coming up. Like there's obviously you need to know it's gonna happen, but I wouldn't sit there and stay worried about it. Like it's a scary thing. It really can be. But at the end of the day, you're just there to have a good time. And I had a great time. I went 5-4, saw flaws with my team, and I have upgraded my play and team since, and I feel like they teach you a lot about they teach you a lot about yourself as a player and yourself as like in terms like when I say that I mean like not even in terms of just skill, just how you take losses. If you can take a loss and use it to adapt and be better rather than thinking you fell off or you're washed or something, that is great. Okay? You need to know when it's not your fault, or if it is your fault, you can just get better but don't make it your entire personality to don't play it like Vegeta basically. I'd say go for more of the Goku route. Okay? It's a fun hobby that's really enjoyable. Do not make it a chore. If you make it a chore, you will not have fun. I thought about quitting VGC before I actually went to Peoria. I was really like, I think seasonal depression was getting to me. Everything just felt like it was going really, really bad. And then out of nowhere, it just kind of hit me. Like at the convention center, even if you have an obnoxious cousin you're sleeping with that you have to sleep into the bathroom because they're snoring super loud, even if you have that going for you, the event itself is so much fun and you'll meet super cool people. And I feel like that's what a regional's about. Winning is great, but having fun is the most important thing. I mean, everyone's there for Pokemon. You will find people that enjoy your hobby and you'll have an amazing time. And if there's one thing to take away from this, it's give yourself at least, like at the very least, 3 weeks of planning, and you can have as much confidence you want about winning the entire thing. Just don't be upset if you don't, because you put yourself at a really high bar, and very few can actually hit that bar. So just have fun with it. Try to enjoy it as much as you can, and yeah, don't don't team build for a regional like I did.